So as you can see from the title below, this is a tea with tea. These are stories y'all sent me in October, but I didn't have a chance to read them. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and finish reading them. We're gonna get right into the story. So sit back, relax, grab your little snacks, and tune in for this tea. So the first one says, "Hey T, hope all is well. It's Courtney." And I know it's a shout out to you. I know exactly who you are. And they said, "And I got a story for you. And of course I have receipts." They said, "I hope I can get a whole video for this story, so I'm going to put as much detail as possible, LOL." So a couple of months ago, I worked at an alternative high school, and when it was my first day, there was this nice girl who helped me out and gave me a tour. And while she was giving me the tour, we vibed well, and I could see us becoming friends. At our alternative school, each employee has an assigned student to watch over, and we have security guards for aggressive kids. Since I told them I have some experience with aggressive kids, they put me with one. I regret telling them that. So the kid I was assigned to would hit me all day, every day, and would run around the whole entire school every day. That mess was exhausting. So one day when the kid, let's call him Angel, got off the bus, he already started hitting me before he got into the school. So the female security girl, let's call her Holy. It's close to her actual name, plus she was fake religious. She was a fake religious Christian person. T, her real name is Beep. Listen, y'all, don't be putting stuff in parentheses because I'm gonna read it. I don't know what's like to read and what's not to read because I almost just read what her real name was. She decides that Angel has to be quiet in the room all day, so we don't have to deal with him running around all over the place. I still had to be with Angel since I was assigned to him. So me and Holy would talk to each other while Angel would occasionally try to hit us. See, I can't do that. So we were basically together from 9 a.m. to 2:30, getting to know each other. Around 12:30, another girl, Justina, who is another security guard, would come hang out with us in the quiet room. We all got to know each other while Angel occasionally had to get restrained whenever he got aggressive. This is how I know you went through this for real, because you saying it like this is normal. Well, girl, we would be talking while Angel, he just, he getting restrained over there, but just occasionally. Sometimes Angel will be acting up, trying to punch us in the face, spit on us, bite us, and, typical Angel shit. It's just shit that he do. After that day, Justina, Holy, and I became cool, and we would talk during our free time at work. I found out Holy's birthday was coming up, so I said we should go out. We decided on this club in Brooklyn, and we all bought a +1. Holy +1 ended up being her special needs friend, but she was cool and everyone talked to everyone. My friend was cool. She ended up being nice enough to buy everyone 6 girl shots to be nice. She nice. Because she felt like everyone was giving off a good vibe. Now let me just tell you about Justina and her friend at the party. Justina's friend Tay was hella dry, barely talked to anyone, not even smiling, just sat there. Justina later told us that her friend was going through a breakup. Maybe she shouldn't have bought her friend there. And when my friend Dana bought everyone shots, Justina said with an attitude, "Didn't I tell you on the way here I don't drink?" Pass the shots. Why we getting attitudes? We had an hour drive from where we lived to Brooklyn, and Justina mentions, "I don't drink and drive. I've never drank and drive. I don't plan to drink." Remember this detail for later. Now, Dana kept the energy positive. She laughed it off and said, "Oh, well, more shots for me." Exactly. Shout out to you, Dana. Look, shout out to Dana. I ain't even see that. So other than that, the party ended pretty good. Now here's where the bitches start acting weird. But first, I'm going to give you some background on everyone, because I didn't know this stuff until after the birthday. Holy is 25, Christian and really religious, and is not having ex until she's married. Although she gives... What's this? What is this? What's on top of your shoulders? She gives that, okay? Because, I ain't finna get flagged. So I don't know how you're saving yourself, but okay. She lives at home with her family. She has 2 to 3 jobs, but the security guard at the alternative school we work at, is a security guard at the alternative school that we work at. Justina is 31, lives with her son and boyfriend, and allegedly doesn't drink. Keep that in mind. Not allegedly. I feel like I'm reading case files on everybody, and I need to find out who the suspect is. She works 2 jobs. Dana is 21, my friend from a different job, but she just so happens to work with some of my coworkers. She works 2 jobs. Me, Courtney, 21, lives by myself in an apartment building. Doom, 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 doom. I'm sorry, I just keep thinking about Law and Order or something. I'm sorry. Okay, and you have a dog. Tina is 31. She's Justina's friend, and she had just broke up with her ex. Now she the one with the attitude. Shawnee, 31, Justina friends with 2 kids and a partner in jail. Jessica, 22, my friend, but her part in the story is at the very end. Okay, a week after the party, Holy and Justina and I go to the club, and she brings her friend Shawnee, who I met. She sat right next to me at the club, and I thought we vibed well at the party, or so I thought. A week after the club, I just got off work from my second job and FaceTime Holy. Holy is holding her phone at a weird angle, and it's clear she's trying to hide whoever is driving the car. I asked her if it was her boyfriend, and she started laughing and kept saying no. And she kept trying to change the subject. The more I kept looking at her background is when I noticed this girl was in Justina's car. I said, girl, I know you're in Justina's car. Like, who you trying to fool? You ain't fooling nobody. What's the tea? Holy keeps trying to lie and say she's not with her. All of a sudden, I can see on FaceTime that the driver braked hard and Holy dropped the phone. As Holy picked up the phone, she accidentally showed Justina. I said, girl, you might as well start trying to hide her. You literally just showed Justina on camera. Why you lying? Y'all all grown. You just said all of y'all ages. Ain't no reason to be lying. She didn't want you to know that she was in a car. That she was in a car with Justina. All she had to do was not answer the phone. Period. I don't understand why people answer the phone when they know they're trying to hide something and then lie. That makes you seem even more weird. Then they dropped the act and they said they didn't want me to feel any type of way if they hung out without me. I said I didn't care. And I didn't care because I was at work anyway. So I asked them what they were really doing. And they said they went to the mall. But the way they were talking about the mall literally didn't make sense. And I told them their story wasn't adding up. Holy said she had to hang up the phone since Justina was about to drop her off home. And she'll call me when she gets into the house. Okay. Holy called me back and said that Justina's friend Shawnee had a birthday party and didn't invite me. Keep that in mind. I sat and talked to Shawnee the whole time we was at the club, but I guess she wasn't feeling me. Justina's other friend who was at Holly party, Tay, was at the party, and the same moody girl who didn't talk was apparently extremely loud, drunk, and being belligerent. So Holy just said that she didn't like Justina's friend and will never hang out with them again. Also, Holy told me that Justina was drinking at Shawnee's party too. The same Justina who gave my friend an attitude, my friend Dana, an attitude for trying to be nice and buy her a shot. Also, Holy spilled all the tea on Justina talking about my friend Dana, the one who bought the shots. So let's rewind back to Holy party. So on the ride to Brooklyn, all of us were sharing stories, and Dana and Justina were telling stories of guys when they bought them stuff. So I mentioned how Dana got a guy to fly her out to Japan. Not on some weird stuff. She just so happened to be talking to a guy from the military. So he flew her out to see him where he was stationed. She didn't even sleep with the guy. So apparently Justina took me and Dana conversation about her getting flown out to Japan and somehow twisted the story and assumed that Dana was a hoot. She assumed old girl was tooting. Justina was talking ish about Dana to Holy, saying, I never want to be around that girl again. I don't associate with people like that. Even Holy said me and Dana weren't talking about stuff like that. And then Justina said a guy flew her out too, but it was to Florida. So I don't know how she's even judging Dana when she did the same thing and didn't even sleep with the guy. See, one thing about it, this is a thing when you try to merge friends and it's a big group and all this and all that, everybody not gonna get along, and that's where the mess start. That's why I like to keep my circle small. I done tried to merge friends together and it always ended bad. I will never do that again. Let's keep going. So I kept that in mind, but I still tried to be cool with Justina and Holy. My college graduation was coming up and we planned to go to this club called Lit 20 with another one of my friends named Natalie. When we arrived, the power went out, so we had to go to a different club last minute. We arrived to the other club. While we were there, the bartender kept handing me shots. I swore it was free sample drinks. Where they do? You done got a free sample drink at the bar before? They don't do that. They only do that in like liquor stores when they got them little booths up. They be like, hey, you want to take a shot? You want to taste it? Girl, they don't do that at the bar. Turns out it's not. But Justina, Holly, and Natalie paid for me, which I would say was nice of them. So every time they asked me if I wanted more shots, I said yes. Also, my friend Natalie ordered everyone shots, and Justina pulled that "I don't drink" thing with me. I side-eyed her because I know she was lying. Now, I'm not a big drinker, and I had just turned 21 4 months before this story. So I kept drinking, and I'm drinking the whole dinner. Ooh. As the night goes on, Justina starts giving me weird looks, but I'm too drunk to pay her any mind. Now, towards the end of the night, it's time to go back, and I kept laughing, and Justina, you can see her in the video rolling her eyes at me. So there is the video. I'm gonna have to double check with you on whether or not to insert it because you did send me them on Instagram. So yeah, I'm gonna just DM you before I do all that. So Holly was walking me and Justina to the car, and I fell. Holly recorded a video of me on the floor.
Tomorrow I'm having a field day with her ass. I'm like, yo, get up.
Which is one of the videos that you sent. And Justina was mad the whole time, saying that they hurt their back trying to help me stand up, even though I wasn't even leaning on them. The next day, Justina said she didn't like the fact that I got super drunk, but at the same time, her and Holly said I was faking being drunk for attention, even though I had 10 shots and 2 drinks. Girl, you ain't no lightweight. Is you talking about I ain't no big drinker, girl. You be throwing it back. You be throwing it back. 10 shots. You need to take me to the hospital and get my stomach pumped because I can't do it. Fuck about you. You ain't no drinker. So I got upset because one, they had this conversation with me at work in front of students. And how can I be too drunk but then be faking it at the same time? After this, I stopped talking to Justina as much. Also, Justina told me on the car ride to the club that me and Holly were good co-workers. To me, since we hung out a lot, at the same time we would call and text each other, I thought we were friends. So Holly and I found that kind of weird. When we found out she referred to us as co-workers, Holly would call me her friend and claim she just keeping a distance from Justina. Yeah, if she referred to y'all as co-workers outside of work, because you said y'all was riding to the club, right? Y'all not friends. When she talk about you to other people, she like, that weird ass bitch from work. Not, oh, my friend. You know, when you see it, you see it. Don't ever question them red flags. So after that, I started side-eyeing Justina, and me and Holly got closer. Justina got jealous, but also she had a kid to take care of. So when we'd be on the phone all night, she would be asleep already. So the more Holly and I talked, we would sometimes get into it. The first time Holly tried to say I had a crush on her. We were playing a game of who would we hook up with at our job. I don't know why we was playing this game, especially Christian Holly. Right? I found almost every guy at our job ugly, and there was a lot of old guys at our job. So she kept naming these old Caucasian guys at work as a joke. I said I'd rather be with Holly than anyone at our job. Now, Holly knew I liked this one dude at our job. She even tried to set us up, but the guy turned me down. But then she would say underhanded things like, you probably would F the guy on the spot if he were ever to give you a chance. Or if she caught me looking at him, she would say, why are you obsessed with him? Mind you, I had a little crush that I got over quickly, so it was weird she kept making these comments. So the fact that she said I probably had a crush on her since I joked that I would be with her, I got pissed off and I stopped talking to her because I found that weird. So we stopped talking for a couple of weeks, but then she came up to me and apologized. We started being cool, but I already started looking for a different job. Holly had a high position at our job, so I wasn't sure if she was going to try to be petty at me at work, nor towards me at work. Plus, that job was weird. Too much gossiping, married people having affairs, and keep that in mind. This was a school. People are coming in to work high, taking long breaks. A coworker also accused me of flirting with her man, who is another coworker, her man. Because I would talk to him, that's annoying. So Holly tried to convince me to stay at the job and promote me to security at the job for a raise. I joined the security team for a short while and almost got stabbed. I got scratched by a kid and the kid ripped up my shirt. After I went through all of that, the principal told me, by the way, we're not paying you extra for being security. I was low-key mad because Holly convinced me to stay at the job for the extra money. I turned down a different job position because she said that I would get paid more. I let it go and I didn't have a grudge against her.
Why?
Fast forward, this new girl, Jessica, starts working at my job and we clicked and we became friends instantly. She peeped how weird Justina and Holy was instantly. Since Justina and I got close, Holy got jealous. Or I think you meant Jessica. Since Jessica and I got close, Holy got jealous. Because I remember you saying you ain't like Justina. I could be wrong. Let me stop. But I was over her because now we would get into petty little arguments. For instance, I would be telling Holy a story and then out of nowhere she would say, why is your voice so weird? So sometimes I would let that go, but this one day I argued back. So I said, why is your voice weird? You're the one with the accent. She said my voice never stopped me from getting a guy. I took that as a dig since I sucked at dating. So I said, but you get the guys who are missing teeth. She told me that one time. She told me that one time how she didn't like how her boyfriend had a missing tooth. So I had to throw it back in her face. I felt like she was being shady towards me. Holly would also talk about Jessica to me, and I would be messy and tell Jessica what she said. Sometimes when I get on the phone with Holly, Jessica would be right next to me, and I would let her hear everything Holly said. At work, Holly seemed sweet and innocent, but when she was really being herself, she's messy, shady, and rude. Jessica would witness it. I didn't feel crazy when Holly would start arguments with me and gaslight me for no reason. So one thing about it, I wouldn't have did that. I wouldn't have let, and I'm not trying to come for you. I'm just saying, I wouldn't have let Jessica hear everything that Holly was saying because what's going to come to the light is going to come to the light. Like if Jessica would have, or if Holly would have approached Jessica trying to be cool and stuff, Jessica would have seen that for herself. Like it wouldn't have took long because people that put on a facade, they can't keep it up too long. So yeah, she would have seen that for herself. Okay, this the tea behind the cause. So she said that Holly would let Jessica get attacked by the kids and they wouldn't come help her till I don't know when, how long later. So that's why, and Holly would just be admitting it, talking about it to everybody. So that's why she would let Jessica listen on to her and Holy cause. So there was another argument Holly and I got into involving Jessica. But I feel like the story is already so long, so I'll save it for later if you want more info. Long story short, she said something rude regarding Jessica and severely hurt me at work. I cursed her out and then didn't talk to her for a while. I called out of work. I was going on job interviews and this bitch reported me to the job saying that she thinks I'm gonna hurt myself because we got into an argument. What? I told her about my history of depression, but this girl really had my job calling and asking me if I was okay. I was so pissed off. Eventually, we became cool again, and that's when she told me, I know I'm toxic. I told this girl I would never hurt myself just because we're not friends anymore. I was planning on quitting. That's messed up. Also, Holly would randomly call me and talk about her and Justina's friendship. But Holly said before that she was keeping her distance. But when she saw me getting cool with Jessica, all of a sudden her and Justina were close and even went on a double date. They were trying to make me jealous, and when I didn't give her the reaction she wanted, she would get upset and try to press it. She also claimed that I was jealous of her boyfriend, and I told her I wasn't. But when she said slick stuff to me, I know I'm going to hit back worse. If I have nothing nice to say during our conversation, I would just stay quiet. Keep in mind, this was a little bit after I made that comment about her boyfriend's teeth. She would claim that she wasn't being sensitive or whatever, but I added my input in on something and she says that I would criticize it. So eventually I would just stop calling her as much. I already quit the job at this point and we didn't have much to talk about anyway, since we didn't work at the same job anymore. So fast forward, I had just got done hanging out with Jessica and I called Holly again because Jessica suspected that Holly would purposefully set her and a coworker in positions where students would attack them and Holly and the security staff would not help them. When I called Holly, she literally admitted it. And that's when Jessica's patience broke. She said she was going to tell coworkers everything she heard Holly say. I said I don't care because I don't work there anymore, and Holly is super unprofessional anyway, so she deserves it. It was raining that day, and after I left Jessica, I saw there was a homeless man laying down in the park connected to my building. I was walking with my wallet in my hand, and I had just walked past him in order to go to the main entrance. I notified the park attendant because my building has a history of getting broken into by homeless people, and people's cars, including mine, have gotten broken into too. So the parking attendant called the police to remove the guy because it was a safety issue. And in my neighborhood, people get followed, robbed, disturbed by random people almost frequently. So I told Holly, and she got mad at me for reporting the guy, and that if he was to break into my apartment complex to sleep in the hallway, then I should let him and mind my business. See, girl. So yes, I said these exact words. So I told her, she lives in a house with a lot of family members. Your safety is not an issue. I have had a man try to follow me home and my friend into our building, and he even tried to grab my friend. Luckily, another male neighbor saw us and escorted us into the building. He made sure we were safe and okay. So I get mad at her because she was disregarding my safety, saying it's okay for homeless people to walk in our building and sleep in the hallway just because they're homeless. I told her people pay about $3,500. I could have said $3,500 a month to live in this building, and they go through intense background checks due to it being categorized as luxury apartments. So what's the point of paying this much money to risk our safety? She started criticizing me because she said that if I was homeless, I would probably do the same thing. But I told her I wouldn't go into apartment buildings that I don't live in and sleep because that's not right. She then started yelling at me like, you act like you're rich, and I hung up on her. The next day, I followed up with the parking attendant, and it turns out the guy tried to sneak into the parking garage. And an unrelated guy was arrested for breaking into people's cars in the parking garage, including mine. That's crazy. So after I got the update, I text Holly. I will DM screenshots. And she told me to stop texting her, so I blocked her and never heard from her since. I didn't get to explain everything I wanted to, but I could go on and on. She was very hypocritical, would put people down, talk about them. She would vape and do actual stuff, but say she wasn't having X. She was saving herself for her husband. But she would try to put me down. It was too much, and I eventually got sick of it. It was one of the most toxic relationships, especially considering we were only friends for 4 months. I don't know if this story makes a lot of sense, but it took me hours to type this. I hope y'all like it. Love you, T. Love you too, girl. That was a lot. Oh, that was very toxic and very draining. I can only imagine. It was draining from reading it, but I can only imagine how that was in real life. Because, girl, that's too much. It was too much. It was too much talking behind everybody back, too much gossiping. It was a lot of fakeness going on, and that, I don't even know how you dealt with that. That's why you go to work and you don't go for friends. I always made that clear. Listen, we cool, you can talk. You ask me anything, you want to talk in the break room, da-da-da-da-da. But listen, I ain't here to make friends. I'm here for a check, and I'm gone. Now, that wasn't enough that was a long story, but it wasn't enough for, just one video. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into this next story, this little story time. Whew. This one starts off by saying all names will be made up. My name is Ari, and I was living with my best friend Africa at the time. We just moved to Florida, and I didn't know anyone at all. I knew a guy named John. John was a street ninja and a scammer. Whew, we done met the old child. And he was also the local tree man. Now we know them. So I introduced John to Africa. Then John introduced me to his scammer homeboy Cricket. So all 4 of us started hanging out every day. Africa was scared, but I started scamming. Girl, I had to make sure I read that right. Africa was scared, but I started scamming with John and Cricket. I was young and I needed fast money. So I said, why not? It was all good until it wasn't. That's how it be. So they started taking money off the top. For example, if we bust a 5K check, we usually split it 3 ways, about $1,600 each. And of course, I'd always give Africa a portion simply because that was my homegirl. That's not how to go. And we were living together. She gonna have to find a bowl and eat for herself. But instead, John and Cricket started stealing off the top. And instead of splitting $1,600 3 ways, it'll be 2, 2, 1. And I wasn't messing with that. So yeah, one day we crashed a big check and my bank account got froze with all the money. Around this time, business was slowing up because I spoke up about what was going on and they didn't like it. So inevitably, this was gonna be our last play together. I remember them pressing me about the money and it was pissing me off because overall they had nothing to lose, only me. So I called Africa and I told her what happened with my account, but I made up a number and told her that I had $12,366. She was just talking about how they were going to be mad and I should move my car if they came looking for me. It didn't dawn on me at the moment as how they know and would be mad, but I moved my car somewhere else to the other side of the apartment complex and I told Africa where it was. Fast forward to 1:30 a.m. I hear someone trying to break through Africa's bedroom window. Red flag. I don't even know how they found the apartment we live at. We lived about 2 freeways, a highway, and a busy street away. And they've only ever once been over, and that was about 6 months prior. I was driving, so it couldn't have been GPS. And I also remember them saying how nice it was over there, basically indicating that they don't be on this side of town. I immediately look at my phone and I have several missed phone calls and text messages plus voicemails of them looking for the money. But instead of the whole amount, they were looking for specifically $12,366, which is the amount I told Africa. Red flag. They were threatening to put me in a trunk and I heard them cocking a gun on the voicemail. They had even found my car. Red flag. I called Africa and she said she didn't have nothing to do with this and to not put her in it. Red flag. Bitch, we're best friends. What do you mean you don't have nothing to do with this? And that's exactly why I said she need to find a bowl and try to eat herself. She need to do it herself instead of you splitting all the money with her because she your homegirl, because people don't have no loyalty. So I called the police and the noise stopped. I immediately leave in the middle of the night and I parked my car in a Walmart parking lot and I slept there until it was time for work. I end up talking to John the next day and he told me that he wasn't there and didn't know anything about it. But Cricket did ask if he knew where we stayed at. So me and John get Africa on the phone and she completely switched up and said, huh? I didn't tell you to move your car. I got so mad and I hung up. Now, a few days later, Africa comes home and I hear her kikiing on the phone with Cricket. She was fucking him this whole time and was getting money from him and me, even though she wasn't scamming. I wanted to unalive her right there. Well, I ain't pointing my finger for that. I ain't saying that. So yeah, they said they wanted to do it in right there and in that moment, but I just left. Moral to the story, never let these bees in your business. Never let no one know how much money you got. And there's no loyalty out here in these streets. Amen. Literally. By the way, I never had any money. BOA banned me for life. And it took 7 years for me to get another bank account. When I woke up the next day, I seen Cricket took the police on a chase and he ended up getting locked up. I don't talk to my best friend anymore and well, that's not your best friend. And I cut ties with John, but I still see him from time to time. Thank you for reading. I know it was long, but it was worth typing. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I knew it. And it's your own roommate trying to set you up. That's ridiculous. Your own friend. Your best friend. Ridiculous. Okay, so I'm gonna get into this last one. I'm gonna read one last one because I don't want the video to be too short. Okay, so they said, hey T, it's me again. Oh yeah, this is the one that sent that story that meow tastes like tuna. Girl, you wrote another one. Okay, because you sent in a lot of stories. All right, so let's get into it. So this takes place at the end of summer 2012. It was a Friday evening. It was a Friday evening, and my sister and I had just walked to a tennis court in our complex to buy elotes.
Street
and that
corn.
would be Friday night dinner for most families. She had everything: tamales, sopito, elotes. Girl, let me find out I was Hispanic in another life. Okay, now, so what we gonna do? This what we gonna do. We gonna act like I ain't butcher all that, okay? But that's what we gonna do. All right. The effing works. Okay, y'all, I'm not cussing, okay? So they had the works. My sister and I were about to find a place to eat outside when 2 guys approach us. One of the guys we grew up with, but he doesn't have a role in the story besides this, so he don't need a name. The other, we'll call him Chris. Later, before we decided to go home, we went to check the mailbox. Who came running out their house? Chris. Like he must have been watching us or something. Chris gave me his number and I agreed to call him. I had no intentions of calling him really. 3 weeks go by and I hadn't seen Chris around the complex. One day at the mailbox, without my sister, none other than Chris stops by and he asks me why I haven't called him. I lied and said I lost his number. He gives me his number again and says, if you're not going to use my number, it's all good, but don't put on an act. That night I called him and he came to my building. We walked around the complex and he revealed that he had just gotten out of prison. Bye. Instantly, I was nervous because he was a parolee. And there I was strutting around with him. He was imprisoned for being an outlook while his friends committed robbery. I said outlook, a lookout while his friends committed robbery. I decided to give Chris a chance and not let his past stand in the way. That was so short-lived. We dated for only a month. I ended up breaking things off with him because every time he would ask me to go out somewhere with him downtown, I would get this uncomfortable feeling that made me say no. At night when we would link up, he would tell me how some guys tried to run up on him and his friends and they would have to bust back the sprayers. Imagine if I would have went with him. It's possible that I wouldn't even be here. I trusted being at his place because it was really his grandma's place. So he wouldn't let people over or stay where he stayed at to protect her. So Chris was real secretive when it came to things, especially about his set. I would not. I would hear him talking in code and I would be like, what are you saying? After Thanksgiving, he gets arrested for violating his parole. The day after his arrest, I see this guy I had a crush on back in freshman year. And that night we do become a couple. Now, I was a little thought, popping in for anyone I had interest in. We'll call him Mickey. Mickey started to kick in doors and I was the lookout. Girl, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Now you said you ain't want to be the lookout for Chris. What Mickey do for you to get the lookout? For you to get the looking out? He didn't want to go back to his mom's, so he was kicking in doors and sleeping there. Before he would kick the door in, I would knock to see if anyone was home. I would say something random if they were like, sorry, wrong house. He broke into a place downstairs from me and we basically made it a ex dungeon. Y'all are too much. People would come in just to have X with their person. That's some wild-ish now that I look back on it. Mickey was caught in the apartment downstairs from me. The officer went in and said he's in the closet smoking coca. I gotta keep it YouTube appropriate for your coins. The coca was just in a cigarette. He ran upstairs to my apartment and I let him in. We watched the SWAT team look for him. Girl, you could have been arrested. Girl, you said we watched the SWAT team look for him while the SWAT team surveyed the area. So now, once the coast was clear, we waited it out at Walmart till nightfall. Night came and we was back at it again, kicking in another door. Me as the lookout, and he stole a person's laptop. We then began seeing it on the news. They were calling him the Christmas Bandit. I decided to chill out from doing that because I didn't want to get arrested. He asked me to do it one last time and I agreed. Same routine, kicking the door, same routine, knock on the door, nobody answered. But this time we went in yelling and cussing. He comes running, so automatically I start to run. When he catches up to me, he says he got into a fight with the man who was inside. The man was able to give a description of him to the police. Luckily, he didn't see me and I was hiding when I heard yelling. I convinced him to turn himself in. Just like that, a week later, Chris was out and we went back to our sneaky link. What? We weren't together, but I knew what it was. One afternoon, we was watching the news. I see Chris on there, and it's a video surveillance from a fast food place. He's standing behind the man wearing a lot of jewelry. According to the news, Chris followed him home and unalived him. As soon as I found out, I went to his place to ask him about it, of course. Oh, I guess you said one day you was watching the news. Yeah, of course he denied it. That was the last time I went to his house. He was cool with my cousin, so he started coming back to my house to see her, but he would also try to talk to me. I would ignore the F out of him. I don't play about unaliving people, and I think that anyone who does will get their karma. As the weeks progress, Chris is hiding out in between his grandma's house, his mom's house, and the same people that live in the complex house. So fast forward, my cousin came home late one night, early morning, probably around 2 a.m. She was screaming and telling me to come outside. The SWAT team had raided Chris's mama's house. The SWAT team then went to the grandma's house where they found him. Chris denied unaliving the man and showed no remorse. To this day, he's in prison for offing that guy. As Mickey served 6 years, 6 months, and 6 days, the mark of the beast. in prison for B&B. I was grateful Mickey never said I was in on the accessory. No, I was grateful Mickey never said that I was in on the crimes committed. As for being a hoe, I stopped doing that too. I'm done. No, for real. She said, as for being a hoe, I stopped doing that because of these two guys. They met each other in jail and were roommates. From this, I learned never to play with anyone's emotions. Girl, you always got a time to tell. Oh my God. She said, as for being a hoe. That's a good way to wrap up the story. You know how on the BET movies, they be like, Lil Marco, yeah, he finally went to college. Yeah, street nigga doing his thing. He got off the streets. Wait, then they be like Lil Chuck down the street. He finally got that job he wanted at McDonald's. Now he's doing better, taking care of his little brothers and sisters and his grandmama too. As for Mickey and Chris, they got 6 years, 6 days, and 6 months. I don't know. In prison, they met each other and now they roommates. And then it's like a picture, it's like a little video of them walking towards each other, dapping each other up in slow motion, doing one of these. Like, it just reminded me of a BET ending. And then it's you. Now, as for me, I stopped being a hoe. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Okay, y'all, let me know in the comments what y'all think. Now, they ain't asking for advice like I said before, but this was funny, especially this one, because I could just hear it in my head. As for me, I'm done. Y'all already know the vibes. I love y'all so much. I'm gonna see y'all in my next one. Go ahead and like the video if you forgot. Just leave a comment. I can't even think. And make sure you subscribe. I'm gonna see y'all later. She said, now as for me, I love you. My cheeks hurt. My cheeks hurt. All right, let me go. She making my damn heart beat fast. That's it. Cause girl, that's the shit I be trying to avoid. Am I hairy? Oh, ashy, yeah. I was a little thought. Oh, why did I read it like that? As for me, I stopped being a hoe. Why is the sun coming all out? Fucking my lighting. Holy, oh Lord, I done said the girl name. Let me read that over. Doom, 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 doom. I'm sorry.